Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I apologize for that noise. They are using a chainsaw to cut my neighbor into pieces. He started posting videos like I do, so they're gonna be knocking at my door soon. So we gotta work through that. We want to talk about IAEA inspection on Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant, where now it belongs to the Russians who took over. They still left the Ukrainian personnel work and have the plant in functioning mode, and the Ukrainians are shelling the Russian military that's around the plant, who is obviously trying to have it under their control, and the Ukrainians want it back. Now that's a fight here between who's shelling who. Now the Russians are not shelling themselves, it's the Ukrainians who are shelling them. But how the propaganda works, oh my god, the Russians are endangering the plant. Don't shoot at them, they will not endanger it. Now if the Russians shoot from their locations, now that's tricky. And the Ukrainians claim the Russians are doing that. So I don't think that's right. Because you're a weasel, you hide behind the nuclear power plant and you start shooting because you know the other guys cannot shoot back at you. Now that's war. Is it a weasel move? It is, but you hide in civilian populated areas, right? In the cities, and when the Russians try to hit your military weaponry and whatever you got of their personnel, they destroy kindergartens and hospitals where, according to Amnesty International, Ukraine deposits sometimes ammunition and personnel. So then civilians, you expose the civilians to this, to the Russian shellings. So you make a very weasel move by doing that. I don't know why you defend yourself in the cities, but that's again weasel move. If these guys defend themselves being protected by the positioning themselves near the Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant and shoot from there without being attacked, then again weasel move. But it's war. What do you expect? Fair play here. So this video comes this article comes from Republic World and it's from August 19, 2022. Russia asks IAEA to inspect Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant, quote unquote, as soon as possible. Blames Kiev for attack. So the Russians said, you know what? BS. Come if you want, just come and inspect it. But the Ukrainians said, no, they will not let you. We want the Americans to be around. We want the Kosovo force to be over there. We want peacekeeping force to be over there. We want the Russians live over there. The same thing as with the grain. Remember with the grain shipments? The Ukrainians wanted only one option. There were like 10 available, but they wanted only one. And if that one option was not fulfilled, according to their wishes, then everybody else was, how do you call it? They were participating in this world starvation, blah, blah, blah. And eventually that happened. They got the Odessa and they have that corridor. That's fine, I'm okay. But there were other options going through Belarus, going through Hungary, going through Poland, going through Romania, going through Russian ports. All this, the Ukrainians said, no, only this one. Okay, so they got it. So the same here. They asked for something that really cannot be achieved. Or if the Russians leave, they will not leave. They took over because they want to take over. Get over that. So the same, we will negotiate with Russia only if Russia takes its forces out of Ukrainian territory. Well, according to the Russians, they are not on Ukrainian territory. They are on their territory that was theirs, and you guys were given by other individuals. Remember? Stalin is one of them, and not only. So if you go by that, Russians feel that they identify Donetsk and Luhansk and Crimea, they identify that with Russia. And if someone identifies himself or herself as something, you are required, United States, to respect that. And do not, have to be nice, and you have to play the role. So here, Ukraine should accept the fact that Luhansk, Donetsk and Crimea identify with Russia. You have to accept the will of that person, those individuals. Right? The will of the people. So no, it doesn't work that way. That tells you how serious these guys here are with their logic. If I identify right now as Napoleon, you have to move to the side because I have to gain respect. Right? If I identify with God, what's that going to be? Why not? Are you required to provide proof? No, that's the way I feel. All right, so let's go with this. So the Russians are not going to go there. So as the preconditions to not shell the Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant is not going to be Russians must leave first. That's not going to happen. The same, in order to discuss, negotiate a peace treaty with Russia, the Russians first have to leave the whatever the border was in February 24th. That's not going to happen, and I know that, but they don't want to negotiate. That's why they ask this. They ask the impossible. Like, for instance, the Poles asked the Nazi Germany before September 1st, 1939, about Gdansk and the corridor, Danzig. They asked for the impossible, and then they knew their Germans cannot agree with that. That's called negotiating in bad faith. Why? Because you have in Polish case you had the Brits behind and the French that already said guaranteed if this guy's going to attack you, we're going to help you. But the Soviets also attacked. So, and then the guys just Great Britain and France declare war only to Germany, not to the Soviet Union, who did the exact thing as Germany did. You know why? Well, if you want to find one of the answers, just check and see who were the leaders of Soviet Union at that time and see how many Russians were in charge. All right, let's move further here. Russia urged the IAEA must plan a visit to nuclear plant as soon as possible, maybe even before the end of August, accusing Ukraine's military of shelling. I have no doubt those guys are shelling. I have no doubt that the Russians are shelling, but not the plant, from the vicinity of the plant, therefore endangering the plant. I think both of these are valid. So Russia on Wednesday urged the mission of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, to visit the heavily shelled Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant as soon as possible, saying that the International Atomic Agency was being played in the hands of the Kiev regime and its Western sponsors. Woo! They got my words. You can't use those words. Western sponsors. It's my word. I trademarked it. I registered it. At the United Nations Security Council briefing on Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant, Vasily Nebenzia, Russia's permanent representative to the United Nations, warned that if the shelling and intense attacks on the plant continue, the Ukrainian armed forces are not stopped, then the repercussions will not only be felt by just Kiev. Zaporizhzhya, Kharkiv, Poltava, Kherson, Odessa, Mykolaiv, Kirovograd and Vinnytsia region of Ukraine, but also the territories of the Donetsk and Luhansk and adjacent territories of Russia and Belarus, as well as Moldova, Bulgaria and Romania. All these will be affected. All right, all these regions will be exposed to risks of radioactive contamination, Moscow warned at the conference. This is, and I'm quoting, this is the most optimistic outcome that experts can predict, whereas the real scale of the nuclear disaster at the Zaporizhzhya power plant is hard to even imagine. In such case, the entire responsibility for that will befall Kiev's Western sponsors, the Russian diplomat told a briefing in New York City. Russia asked IAEA to visit the plant before the end of August. Moscow urged the IAEA must plan a visit to the nuclear plant, possible maybe even before the end of August, as it blamed Ukrainian military forces for heavily bombing the facility, posing risk to the lives of the civilians, to later shift the blame on the Russian troops. Both Russia and Ukraine troops have been pushing the blame for shelling the Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant at each other. Why would the Russian bomb it? It's theirs. Like, why should I bomb I'm fighting with you and I'm bombing my house or whatever territory I took over already? It's under my control. The fighting near Europe's largest nuclear power plant involved heavy artillery and multiple launch rocket system. That's more like it. It's in the vicinity they fight. Russia's side has claimed that the Ukrainian shelling had sparked a power surge and fire and had apparently forced staff to lower output from 2 reactors, Associated reported. Ukraine's forces have been accusing Russian troops of storming the arms at the facilities. Storing the arms at the facility. Why? Well, maybe they did. I don't know. Shelling of the territory of the nuclear plant by the Ukrainian armed forces is highly dangerous, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has told the reporters of the state-affiliated agency. Peskov is funny looking. It's fraught with catastrophic consequences for vast territories for entire Europe, he had cautioned. Well, it's dangerous, and I hope these guys are going to come and visit it, and they're going to say what they saw. I think the Russians also said they will provide drone recordings of the plant, live recordings, so people can look at them. I know who people are, the Ukrainians, the international community or something. There was another article. The thing is, the Russians will not give it to anybody. I think they intend to keep it for themselves whenever that happens, and that's it. And they're going to say, okay, Ukraine, you take it back. No, because you made us come over here this far to do what? Losing people, losing resources, losing all that, and now you want me to give it to you back. Really? I don't think that's going to happen. So I hope those weasels are coming, which is the IAEA, and I hope everybody records everything, so you can't say, oh no, that was this and that was that and this was that. I think the Russians will clean everything, that if there's anything that they have to clean, because that's how you do it, right? And the Ukrainians will be peaceful and not shell anything, showing that they are cool. Good luck with that. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.